Namaskar, this is Akhilesh Bhargav again. Welcome to Tidbits on Business and Finance with me. With the general elections round the corner and the BJP having suffered surprise shocking defeat in the crucial state elections, the three Hindi heartland elections of Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, where it was widely thought that the BJP lost because its traditional vote bank consisting of the upper caste had deserted it. In order to woo these upper castes, the BJP-led NDA government has announced 10% reservation for these upper castes in government jobs and educational institutions. This 10% reservation that is proposed is over and above the 49.5% reservation which is already there for SC/STs and OBCs. And it is at 49% at present because under a 1963 order of the Supreme Court, reservations cannot exceed 50% because that then infringes the right of equality which is enshrined in the Constitution. This particular reservation that is proposed will need to pass the muster. But it was earlier proposed by the Narasimha Rao government very unsuccessfully. And at that point of time, the Supreme Court turned down the move on the ground that under the Indian Constitution, backwardness is defined in terms of social backwardness and educational backwardness and not in terms of economic backwardness. And hence, the economically backward caste cannot be entitled to reservation. This particular move of the BJP is meant actually for the economically backward upper caste. This particular reservation proposal of the BJP is done with the expectation of immediate electoral gains, but its implementation is actually a far cry away because this particular move will need an amendment of the Indian Constitution, Articles 15 and 16. It needs to pass the muster of the Parliament. It also needs to pass the muster of the Supreme Court because it is bound to be challenged in the Supreme Court by some vested party or the other. While this move was sudden and took the political parties by surprise, the fact remains is many of them have favoured such a move in the past, which includes the likes of the Congress and the BSP. But because it has been timed with the elections in the mind, it has been widely questioned. All political opponents of the BJP have called it a political stunt, a political gimmick, and a move to confuse the masses. Some of them have even said that this is a desperate move by the BJP, knowing very well that it is losing the 2019 elections. What is actually being seen is most parties are bound to support it because this has been a long pending popular demand of the economically backward oppressed caste, even though they may be the upper caste. The only ones who are opposing the move are those parties who are dedicated into pure play Dalit politics because they see it as a threat to the privileges of reservation which their constituents enjoy, and their primary stand is that backwardness cannot be defined in terms of illiteracy and poverty, which is what this move is meant to battle. This is an actually perverted logic. A person who may be of an upper caste but is poor and illiterate, he is not being called backward by these pure play Dalit political parties. It doesn't make sense to us. Let's see how the time rolls by. So what is proposed? What is proposed in this move is that any person whose family income is less than 8 lakh rupees, whose family land holding does not exceed 5 acres, whose house does not exceed 1000 square feet, if he lives in a specified city, his residential plot should not exceed 100 square yards and 200 square yards for other cities. Anybody who meets these criteria will be eligible for this 10% reservation which is being proposed. Let's keep aside the politics. Let's keep aside what the parties say and let's look at the impact of reservation, affirmative action as it is popularly called abroad, on the economy of the country. The fact is that wherever there is reservation or there is affirmative action, there is a more equitable distribution of degrees, that is education and employment. It helps to build equity in society. It helps to reduce the disparities of income. It helps in a better redistribution of resources of the society, which help upliftment of masses out of poverty, out of illiteracy. those universities, it is seen worldwide that those universities who have got students which are drawn from diverse backgrounds from every section of society produce a far better workforce. So, reservation not only redistributes the resource of the society for reasons of equity and equality, it also ensures a very strong, capable and diverse workforce which is needed for the growth of a country. With sections of society being uplifted, and we have seen that in the case of reservation so far, we already have a very creamy layer which has come up because of decades of reservation. And when sections of society come up, when they progress, their purchasing power goes up. It only adds to the size of the economy. So if we are talking about this kind of an opportunity, and the estimates are that those persons who are in the upper caste, who are poor and illiterate and who need jobs and employment and degrees and education, those are 200 to 220 million in number. We are talking about 20 to 22 crores of Indians being eligible for this kind of an incentive, which will actually help us to better distribute, to reduce inequality in society, which we are already seeing has gone up in leaps and bounds. So reservation, if it is well directed, if it is well meaning, if it is not just for political reasons, which we see is the common reason in India, but if it is meant to have a more equitable, a better equality in society, a better distribution of resources by way of education and jobs, is always good for society. It uplifts the entire society. And what better a definition of backwardness than illiteracy and poverty? If this move takes off, we think it would be good for the Indian economy. The BJP thinks that it is going to get electoral dividends out of this move. We think it is going to take time before it passes the muster of the Parliament and of the Supreme Court. But nevertheless, the very fact that it has had the political courage, or you can call it the political strategy to announce such a move, will actually probably get them those upper caste votes that they seem to be losing. Because while the move may take years to fructify with a lot of uncertainty, it still sends a message that there is somebody who looks at their social cause. We saw in the Maratha agitation in Maharashtra that because of generations of the upper caste having been denied jobs and education, they have seeped into poverty, and that is what the entire Maratha agitation crux was. We hope and we think that this kind of a reservation meant for the economically backward caste, meant for those who are into poverty and illiteracy, will only do good for the Indian economy and for the Indian nation. This is Akhilesh Bhargav signing off till we meet again. Namaskar.